Hey, I want to go through Kezia's wedding a little bit here, touch some of the parts that we need to make sure we're all executing together the same way. Um, First thing I want to hit is the ending, the last two bars of the first part there. Um, Actually, starting with the roll going into that paradiddle, right? Um, what we want to make sure of is that we're starting that paradiddle exactly together and exactly on time, which means we ought to make sure we started exactly on the downbeat. Um, then we need to make sure and keep it open, nice and light but open, so that then when we come out and hit this not so mezzo accent on the left hand, we don't have to pop it too much. It'll be just a nice subtle accent that we can then follow through to the nice forte at the end of the phrase. Let me play it a couple times here, and I can show you what I mean here. Starting in that piano roll right before the paradiddle. 2, 3. Try it again. And 3. Now, one other thing I want to make sure and work on, clarify the last singles run. The last singles run in the fourth bar, it starts on beat 1, right? And I want it to be a standalone singles run, right? I don't want it to be starting on the left hand. I want that to be its own little phrase. So I want to make sure and end that the phrase in the third bar on its own, and then have just a minuscule little space in there before we start that singles run into the last roll there. Let me show you a little bit more what I mean there. Starting in that same piano roll again. Ready? 2, 3. Right? As opposed to this, which is what I don't want. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be this continual string of singles. Want to make sure and have that slight mental almost only break between those two rhythms, right? A couple more times ending. 1, 2, 3. Time. All right. Moving backwards to the 5th and 6th bars. I think we're pretty good on this most of the time. What I want you to watch is really the dynamics here. We have a tendency to overplay the accent on the of beat 2 in this first bar. That one right there. I want to make sure we're not overplaying that, because I really want to hit the accent on the 6th stroke that comes next. That should be a much larger accent than the not so mezzo on the left. Right, again. And then we got to be careful not to try and crescendo through that singles run either, right? That's right after the 6th stroke. All right, think of those just as all one level with a nice exclamation point on the end there. Whole second line here. Ready? And go. And one more time. I think I kind of tied those last two together. There we go. Okay. First line. I think our intro is usually pretty good when we either really hit it really well or we really blow it, which is all about focus and concentration, making sure that we've internalized that beat through the entire roll off. So I'm not going to hit that one. What we do need to be cautious of is actually the second phrase there. That's the rolled passage. We got to be deadlocked on the tempo there. It's really easy to spread out those roll passages just beyond where they should be, and so we end up coming out a little bit late into the third bar. Can't afford to do that. We got to stay right on top of the tempo. We're absolutely setting the tempo here. So first 2 bars. Ready? And again. Ready? And go. And all right. 3rd and 4th bars. I don't really have any big problems with these. I think we usually execute these ones pretty well. The Swiss triplets, obviously everybody plays now. You just got to keep them low. Just got to keep them low and open and nice and easy. They're not the feature here, right? Obviously you don't play them the first time through, but the second time through, let's make sure not to overplay those Swisses. And go. And all right. Whole first part, just once through. 2, ready, and go, and I blew that ending. One more time, and go, and that's more how I want it. All right, so the second part is a lot of the same stuff as in the first part. So just make sure we keep the same context, the same dynamics as we just talked about in the first part. Really the only difference is the first phrase. It's the only thing that's markedly different from the first part. My pet peeve of late has been this very first phrase, this tap drag single. We got to make sure to... We've got an entire part where we've just set up the whole dot cut philosophy that we're going to be pushing through this whole tune. We've already set that dot cut in stone, and we just need to continue obeying that in this first phrase. There seems to be a lot of rounding of this first, almost making it straight 16ths. It is a dot cut, right? Make sure and keep the dot cut. Note in the dynamics too, we don't need to be trying to slam the release of these singles. It's only a mezzo forte, which then leads up to a forte flammadiddle in the second bar, right? So don't be trying to slam this second beat of the first measure either. That and go and by playing that flammadiddle nice and forte, it should force us to keep it nice and open. Right? Try and make sure you do that. Other than that, it's all the same. So I'm going to play just the whole second part here. 2, ready, and go, and before I break, we got to make sure and maintain march tempo all the way until the downbeat of that strath time, right? There's a lot of times where we get into that roll right before the last paradiddle triplet, and we think, all right, we're home free, we got it, and we blow that last paradiddle. We got to make sure and keep our tempo dead on all the way through that last paradiddle triplet, all right? Just that fourth line. Ready, and go, and all right, don't cut that short. Okay, I think that's about it for this tune. Thanks, happy practicing.